It was 15 years ago this month. 21-year-old college student Matthew Shepard got into a car in Laramie, Wyoming, with two guys that he thought were going to give him a ride home. Instead, those men tortured and beat Matthew, tied him to a fence, and left him to die. 18 hours later, a cyclist found Matthew, but he was so badly beaten the cyclist thought he was a scarecrow. Days later, Matthew died.
And testimony revealed Matthew's attackers, Aaron McKinney and Russell Henderson, killed him because he was gay. McKinney and Henderson are now serving 2 consecutive life sentences. As a result of this horrific crime, President Barack Obama signed the Matthew Shepard Act into law in October 2009.
After more than a decade of opposition and delay, we've passed inclusive hate crimes legislation to help protect our citizens from violence based on what they look like, who they love, how they pray, or who they are.
Matthew Shepard's story is one that left our nation reeling. The hate behind it is hard to comprehend.
And that's the premise of an upcoming play at Salisbury University. Joining us this afternoon to tell us more about the Laramie Project is the production's director, Paul Pfeiffer. Paul, thank you so much for coming in this afternoon.
Thank you for having us.
So tell us about the Laramie Project. What is it?
Well, the play is based on interviews. The theater company traveled to Laramie several times and conducted interviews with the townspeople, the guy that found them and all that, and put a play together about it. And it documents the events following Matthew Shepard's attack.
Right.
It's a very interesting piece about what happens to people in the aftermath of such an event, and why does somebody actually do something like that.
Why did you think it was important to take on this project?
Well, the university this semester is doing a lot of events that center around anti-hate crime and events that focus on tolerance and diversity. And so with this play and with the anniversary of his death, it seemed only fitting that we should do the play at that time. So it's sort of the crown jewel for the events that the university has planned.
Paul, it seems like this entire story really has an effect on you. What is it you're hoping that people will take away from this?
Well, of course, you know, the crime is that he was gay, and that's what they considered to be his crime. That's why he was attacked. But in the long run, the play is much more, I think, about respect for one another and acceptance and tolerance. And so I would hope that people would take away a message of respect, a message of love for everyone.
And it's not just Matthew Shepard's story. Hate is all over the country, really, all over the world.
Yeah, and some of us might say it seems like it's getting worse, but yes, I think this is a very timely message, I think.
So you have somebody special playing the role of Matthew's father.
Yes, we do. Al Snyder is playing Dennis Shepard, and Al Snyder's son was killed in as a military. He was killed in Iraq, and his funeral was protested by the Westboro Baptist Church.
Mm-hmm.
And then Al ended up taking them on, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court. And eventually there was a law passed that you just showed the clipping of. Mm-hmm. And Al was directly responsible for seeing that legislation through. The key to him in our production is that he's lived it. He's been there, and he is a real hero.
Yeah, how about that? Well, just in case you're unfamiliar, Westboro Baptist Church has protested at many military funerals.
Yeah.
And taken a very dramatic and some would say hateful stand when it comes to gays and such.
Yeah.
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 All right, well, let's run down the event details when we can go see the play. It's October 17th through the 20th, 8 p.m. and 2 p.m. on Sunday. It's 8 p.m. all the days and on 2 p.m. on Sunday?
Right.
Okay. And it's at the Black Box Theater. That's in Fulton Hall.
That's right.
Paul, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Now, we are actually going to get a preview of the Laramie Project right here on the Delmarva Live stage,
That's right. That's right.
Tell us real quick about that.
Okay. We have 2 actors with us today. Lee Nail plays Aaron, who was the boy who found Matthew tied to the fence. So there's a little piece that he's got about the aftermath of that. And then Reed Delisle is plays a young acting student in university who was in rehearsal for Angels in America, and through that experience in the theater learned to be much more accepting despite his religious background, etc. So.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the Laramie Project.
Well, there was nothing I could do. If there was something I could have done to help him, I would have done it, but there was nothing I could do, and I was yelling at the top of my lungs, trying to get him to say something like, "Hey, wake up, hello?" But he didn't even move. He wouldn't flinch. He wouldn't even do anything.
I didn't for the longest time let myself become personally involved in the Matthew Shepard thing. You know, it just didn't seem real. It seemed way blown out of proportion. Matthew Shepard was a name instead of an individual. I don't know, it's weird. It's so weird, man. I just feel bad for all that stuff I said, for the person I was last year. You know, that's why I want to hear those interviews. How did I ever let myself say that stuff about homosexuals? How did I ever let myself think that you were any different from me?
A very powerful performance from Leah and Reed. Thank you so much. And if you'd like to read more about Salisbury University's production of the Laramie Project, go to delmarvalife.com and click on the show tab. Still ahead on Delmarva Life Studies show, 1 out of every 9 babies are born prematurely in the United States. The March of Dimes works to bring those numbers down. Find out how you can join the effort.
You've heard about leasing a vehicle, but you're still not sure if it's right for you. Well, like anything, there are pros and cons. And up next, we're going to break it all down.
And this man is no stranger to cars. He drove them at speeds upwards of 200 miles per hour. He's even raced against his own brother. Daryl Waltrip has traded in his driving gloves for the microphone, but he still has a lot to say about today's drivers. He joins us in just a bit. Delmarva Life will be right back.